Autumn settled over Maryland, painting the fields with gold and red as two massive armies moved toward each other once again. Near a quiet creek called Antietam, Cornfield swayed gently in the morning breeze. The land looked peaceful, almost holy. By nightfall, it would become the bloodiest single day in American history. Thomas Avery marched with the Union Army, his face hardened by Shiloh's memories. Fear no longer rushed through him like before. Instead, a dull readiness had taken its place. He knew what battle demanded and what it stole in return. The war had taught him that survival came at a terrible price. Across the fields, Confederate soldiers prepared their defenses behind stone walls and rolling hills. Caleb stood among them, adjusting his worn uniform and scanning the horizon. The army was tired, underfed, and far from home, but retreat was not an option. Maryland would decide everything. Before dawn on September 17, 1862, the first cannons thundered. Smoke rolled across the fields as Union artillery shattered the morning calm. Birds fled screaming into the sky. Antietam awoke in fire. Thomas advanced into a vast cornfield, its tall stalks blocking his view. Bullets sliced through the leaves, cutting men down without warning. The corn fell like grass beneath a scythe. Within minutes, the field became a maze of death. Men fired blindly through the smoke, unable to see more than a few feet ahead. Shouts for medics mixed with screams of pain. Bodies disappeared into the trampled corn, never to rise again. The ground grew slick beneath Thomas's boots. Caleb crouched near the edge of the field, firing again and again until his rifle barrel burned hot. Union soldiers kept coming, waves replacing waves. Every step forward cost lives. He wondered how long flesh and bone could endure iron and fire. As the sun rose higher, the cornfield changed hands multiple times. Neither side would yield. The air was thick with gunpowder and the metallic smell of blood. Time lost all meaning. By mid-morning, the fighting shifted toward a sunken country road. Confederate soldiers had turned it into a natural trench, forming a deadly defensive line. When Union troops charged, they were cut down in rows. The road would soon earn a grim name, Bloody Lane. Thomas ran toward the road with his regiment, heart pounding. Men fell beside him before they could fire a single shot. He dove behind a fallen body, using it as cover without thinking. Humanity vanished when survival took command. Caleb fired from the sunken road until his ammunition ran low. The trench filled with smoke, blood, and bodies. Dead and wounded piled so high they became barriers. He stepped over them, numb to everything but the next shot. Union reinforcements finally overwhelmed Bloody Lane. Confederate soldiers withdrew under relentless fire, leaving the road carpeted with the dead. The silence that followed was almost worse than the noise. Thomas stared at the carnage, struggling to breathe. The battle surged toward Antietam Creek in the afternoon. Stone bridges became choke points of death as Union troops attempted desperate crossings. Cannon fire ripped into tightly packed lines. The creek ran red beneath the smoke. Caleb retreated toward higher ground, exhaustion crushing his limbs. He had fought since before sunrise, his body moving on instinct alone. Everywhere he looked, men lay broken. Antietam was devouring them all. Late in the day, fresh Union troops finally crossed the creek and threatened the Confederate flank. For a moment, it seemed the Southern Army might be destroyed completely. Officers shouted for reinforcements that never came. The end felt near. But as darkness approached, Confederate lines held just long enough to survive. Both armies were shattered, clinging to the field through sheer will. Neither side truly won. Both had lost something irreplaceable. When night fell, the battlefield fell silent, except for the moans of the wounded. Fires flickered among thousands of bodies lying where they had fallen. Rain began to fall softly, washing blood into the soil. Antietam slept beneath a sky heavy with grief. Thomas sat beside the creek, staring at his reflection rippling in red-stained water. He barely recognized the man looking back. The war had stripped away his youth completely. All that remained was endurance. Caleb lay on the ground miles away, staring at the stars through drifting smoke. He felt hollow, emptied of fear and hope alike. Victory meant nothing here. Survival was the only truth left. By morning, the Confederate Army withdrew, slipping away across the Potomac River. The Union claimed the field, but at a horrifying cost. More than 23,000 men were dead, wounded, or missing. America had crossed a line from which it could never return. In Washington, Lincoln walked alone, reading reports from Antietam. The numbers crushed him, but the outcome gave him something else: opportunity. He knew the moment had come. History waited for his words. Days later, Lincoln announced the Emancipation Proclamation. The war was no longer just about preserving the Union. It was now a fight for freedom itself. The meaning of the war had changed forever. In Charleston, Elisa read the proclamation in stunned silence. The world she had known was collapsing. Slavery, the foundation of Southern life, was now under direct threat. She realized the war would reach into every home, including hers. Thomas listened as officers read the proclamation aloud to the troops. Some cheered, others remained silent. He understood one thing. Clearly, the war now carried a greater weight. Too much blood had been spilled to turn back. Caleb heard rumors of the proclamation as his army regrouped. Fear and anger rippled through the ranks. The fight had become deeper, more desperate. Defeat was no longer unthinkable. Night fell again across America. The dead lay buried beneath fresh earth, but the memory of Antietam lingered like a scar. The war marched forward, heavier and crueler than ever, and no one could stop it now.